Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this Ombre beaded Kumihimo necklace, and this is what mine looks like here. So I've chosen to use these purple colours. I'm using 3 different colours in total, so I've got a darker purple, a lighter purple and then a white in this case. So you can obviously use whatever colours you want to, but you can also use more or less colours and get this effect, and then just place them how you want them to be. So that's completely up to you, you just replace the colours with the colours that you want to. Now this necklace, the length of the braid itself is about 23 inches, and then obviously I've just added my clasp and extended chain. So you can also make it longer or short, or you can just kind of add more beads or cut it down whatever you want the length to be, and then just add a few extra of that colour to finish it off nicely. But that's the length of this, and if you want to learn how to make this necklace, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we're going to need. First of all, here I have my round Kumihimo disc because we're making a round braid. And then the cord that I'm using is this. This is a 0.4mm s-lon. It's a nice and strong cord, so it's going to be a nice and durable piece. And I'm just using the purple colour because that'll go nicely with the beads that I'm using, because I'm using purple beads here. And it's just in case any of the cord shows through in the braid, so you won't be able to see it really much. But you can obviously choose whatever type and colour of the cord that you want to match the beads that you're using. And then as for the beads, in this case I'm using 3 different colours, but they're all the same. So they're all 8-ohm UKC beads, and I'm just using a silver line dark violet, silver line violet alabaster, and then white pearl. You can obviously choose whatever colours that you want to, and you can even choose more or less colours, that's completely up to you. And then just to finish off the braid with at the end, I'm going to be using these Kumihimo ends, and then my findings, so jump rings, extended chain and a lobster claw clasp. Obviously you can use whatever kind of finding that you want to suit yours. So let's get it all together and let's get started. And then to be able to start making the braid, what we're going to need are some lengths of cord. So what I have here is 4 lengths of about 2.5 meters each. So long cords, but obviously we need to make a necklace. And then what I've done is I put all the ends together, so like that, and then I folded them all over in half. So again, put all the ends together to find roughly where the middle is, and there I've then tied a regular overhand knot to keep them together, but also to symbolise it's the middle. And then I just tied a piece of scrap wire around that to help pull it down through the braid. You can also use a Kumihimo weight. So what I'm going to do now is use these cords and attach them to the disc. So I then took all the cords here, and that knot in the middle where I attached the wire, I just put down through the centre of the disc, so it's coming out towards the back, and then I distributed all the cords around the disc, and I'm just not using the numbers here, I'm just putting 1 cord on each side of every dot there, so all the way around those 4 ones, and then just distributed them like that. And then we want to start making a bit of braid here before we add in any beads as well, just about 1 or 2 centimeters down here, just with a cord. So I'm going to start with my top left one, release that from the disc, bring that over and down, stay on the left side of the bottom pair. Then I'm going to take the bottom right one, bring that up and stay on the right side of the top. And turn your disc to the next pair. And then take the top left one, bring it down, and the bottom right one and bring that up. So this is just the movements of the braid. Turn to the next pair here and keep doing this until you have that 1 or 2 centimeters of braid. So now that I've then done that, so you have that little piece of the braid coming out of the back there, it's now time to start loading all the beads onto all these lengths of cord. So this is then how I've added the beads onto my lengths of cord here. Now I've taken a picture of this setup, just like this, and I put that picture on my website along with the description of the setup as well, so each individual cord. So instead of going through them here, because obviously there's quite a lot, because it's a long necklace, so there's a lot to go through, I'm going to put a link to that website, my website there, where that picture and description is, down the description box below, and you can go there and have a bit of a closer look. And now this setup here works for the way that I work with my braid. So obviously, like I showed you before, I take my top left one, bring that down, then the bottom right one and bring that up. So if you start with either the top left one or the bottom right one, because them two are the same, you can set the beads just like I've done it here and you'll get the same result. But if you start with the top right one or the bottom left one, because they're the same as each other, you'll need to set up the beads a bit differently. So basically you need to set them up in a mirror image. So imagine that you have a mirror in front of the disc and you're using that mirror image to set them up. So what that means is the bead setup here, so it's not the cords, but the bead setup, the top 2 would swap place and the bottom 2 would also swap place. So obviously the beads would kind of swap places with each other. On the side, the top ones on each side need to swap over the middle, and then the bottom ones on each side need to swap over the middle, and that will be the equivalent to the mirror image. So that's how you need to set it up if you work opposite to me to get the same effect. Now this setup here that I have is obviously for the 3 colours that I used for mine. So the darker purple, lighter purple, and then the white one. But you could easily use less or more colours as well. And obviously you don't have to use these specific ones. So you can kind of see, like I said, I've used 3 colours to graduate between, but you could use 2 colours or you could use even more than that, or completely random colours. That's completely up to you. But you can kind of see there's different amounts of the beads on each one, but at the same time they kind of follow each other. So if you'll see, at the beginning of each length of cord I have my dark purple. The next kind of set of beads on each cord are the light purple, and then the white. So you can kind of see they go together. So what that means is all you gotta really do to swap out the colours is still use the same setup, but you can just say if you want another colour instead of the dark purple, use that colour instead of all the dark purple, or a different colour instead of one of the others. All you do is just replace the colour really. And again, if you want to use 2 colours or more, just look at them as individual sections rather than colours, and just always follow along on all the lengths of cord and the equivalent spaces. And also if you want the necklace to be shorter than this, so if you prefer a shorter necklace rather than a longer one, then all you gotta really do is stop at what point you find the length to be suitable for you. So you could just stop whenever, of course, if you're not too bothered about how the end looks. I like to just finish off the ends nicely though, so it has a nice finish in the colour rather than the whole graduation between the colours thing. So you could stop whenever you feel it's long enough, and then I would just add a couple more beads of that colour that you stopped on just to finish off the end. So obviously you can make it whatever length you want to in that way. Now also, because this is a necklace that we're making, so it's longer lengths of cord and obviously quite a few more beads than we use say for a bracelet, what I like to do is work with these bobbins here. So I mainly just use these when I make necklaces. So you just open it like that, and then what I'll do is take one of my lengths, you do this on all of them, and then you basically want to start wrapping this around. This is just to help shorten the length to make it easier to work with, and then you can gradually undo it along the way and add more beads down. So I take the end, make sure I have the end sticking out, start wrapping it around. Then I also want to start bringing the beads up, because I only want to leave a few beads out at a time, because then you can always release more, as well as you can release more cord. So bring the beads up here, start wrapping some of those around, and then I like to just do a bit of cord, and then some more beads, a bit of cord, and then I'm leaving a section of beads here at the top, and then just do a few more wraps of the cord, and then you close it back up, and then you have a much shorter length to work with, so it's much more manageable, makes it much easier and also quicker, because you don't get tangled or anything as much at all, if you get tangled at all. So I do that on all of them, and that makes it easier to work with. And then we just need to continue the braid here and add the beads into it. So now I have all my bobbins on here. I'm now ready to continue the braid. So what we do is continue the braid exactly how we did before, but now every time we release the cord from the disc, we also want to add in 1 bead. So I'm just dropping that all the way down to the middle, and then make sure that the bead goes underneath the cords that are crossing over in the middle there. Bring that down, and then take the bottom right one here, release the bead as I'm releasing the cord, make sure the bead tucks in underneath. If it doesn't do it by itself, which it might do, but if it doesn't, make sure you tuck it under with your fingers. And turn your disc for the next pair, release the cord and the bead at the same time, and drop it down. And the other one to finish off this pair here. So that, and you just continue like this, turn for the next pair. Now also what I just want to mention is, when you're doing 8-strand braid here, it doesn't matter what direction you turn your disc in, because if you have a look, let's finish off this pair. I'm going to turn it this way the next time. If you remember from earlier, I said if you start with the top right or bottom, sorry, the top left or the bottom right one, that's the same as each other. So that means if I'm not turning it this way, but then I go from the pair that I just did and turn the opposite way, the top left one and the bottom right one are the same cords that I'm going to be using if I turned it the other way. So that's why it doesn't matter what direction you turn it in, as long as it's an 8-strand braid. If you have more cords than that, it does matter. But I do prefer to kind of have a habit of what direction I turn it in, just as a good habit to have in case of, like I said, other braids. But for this one it isn't necessary. We just keep going like this, use up all the beads here and your cord, releasing them as you go, and then you'll end up with a nice graduated necklace. So after I then added all my beads into the braid here, you can see we have a long braid, it's going to be the necklace. Then we just need to finish off this end as well. So in the beginning, we did a little section of braid with just the cord to help finish off the piece at the end. We're going to do the exact same thing here. So all you want to do is continue the braid the same way. Just stop adding in beads because obviously we've used them all up. And then what will happen is the cords here at the end of the braid will naturally singe in. And you'll get that little end. So again, equivalent length to the other end of the braid, about 1 to 2 centimeters. And then once you've done that, we're ready to take it off the disc. And then when we made that little section of braid at the end here, to be able to take this off the disc securely without the braid coming undone too easily, what I'm going to do is grab 2 cords that are diagonally opposite each other. So the last pair that I just used is this one, so I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use the pair that I was due to take next and take these 2 that are right opposite each other, diagonally there. Bring them across the middle and then tie a knot with the 2 cords, just like that. And then bring it all the way down. So this knot sits right at the end of the braid, you could say. And then take the 2 other cords from the same pair. Again, tie a knot. And this just finishes off the end nicely and securely to take it off the disc without adding too much bulk to it. And then I'm going to go to the other pair and do the same thing. Cords that are diagonally opposite each other. Across the middle and tie a knot. And then the last ones and do the exact same thing. But then with the last one here, I'm going to tie a knot, but instead of just once, I'm actually going to just do another one. Because these knots obviously aren't very secure by themselves. So I'm just going to tie another one right on top of that. And that holds it a little bit better in place, so we can move the braid around. Or we'll finish off the ends without it coming undone too easily. So there we go. So there we now have the braid off the disc. And it looks a little something like this. And then all that's left to do now is finish off the ends. So on the one end, that's where I have the wire that I used to begin with. I'm just going to take that off, then that end is ready to finish off. And then here, we just have all the excess cord. What I'm going to do before I cut that off is use a bit of glue. I'm just using this Tiger Bond. I've been using this quite a bit recently. I'm really liking the glue. So I do see about recommending this really. I also like using the E6000, but I do really like this. It dries clear even though it looks white, and it's nice and strong, and it's a bit more easy to use and kind of friendly to use as well. It doesn't have a smell to it and all that. So what I just do with this is I put some glue around the ends where the cords are coming out, and then let that dry, cut off the excess of the cord, and then that end is ready as well. Where I'm then going to use these Kumihimo ends with the right size to then again use the glue and add them on, and then we have the holes, the little loops there, to attach the findings with. So that's how I'm going to finish them off. I've already got a tutorial where I show how to use those Kumihimo ends. I'm going to put a link to that in the description box below. But then finish those ends off, let the glue dry obviously, and then you'll have your finished necklace. So this is then the finished necklace after attaching the Kumihimo ends there and my clasp. So I just got my Lost Claw clasp and extender chain, and then it looks a little something like this. So the final necklace with your graduation between the 3 different colours here, and the nice ombre effect as well. Like I said, obviously you can choose different colours to use, but also you can choose different amounts of colours. It doesn't have to be these 3. So that's how you make this necklace. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to do this wire wrapped cabochon using a 5-strand braid. And this is what it looks like. So I'm just using an oval stone for this. But you can use other sizes and shapes as well. This is just an example. And then this is just a fluorite stone. And then you have a 5-strand braid on the side, going all the way around, hugging it at the front to keep it in place.